Here we are with another edition of GW Unspoken, where we discuss stuff we typically don't talk about, but probably should. And I've got the special guest back again. How are you, Jamie?
Hey, mate. How are you? Hey,
Good.
listeners.
How are you going, mate? Out of 5, how you feeling right now?
4.
4? Pretty high?
You're pretty high. Just had a good feed.
Yeah, nice. That's the only way I can get you around here, mate.
Thank you to your wife. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Just like, see, every time you come around here, it's actually win-win. I get to talk to you, but also get a good feed. Yeah,
right.
That's good, mate. No, I appreciate you coming around again. And
Sure.
What's something you're grateful for at the moment?
Grateful. What am I grateful for? Just getting up and doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, mate, we've got you back on. This is like a bit of a exciting thing for me. You are the third. This is like the third episode you're here for. Mm-hmm. No one's done 3 before.
Yeah,
so, and there's a reason why you're here.
I've got more to tell.
You've been holding stuff from us, I reckon. This is called GW Unspoken. I reckon there's something that you have left off from last show. Mm-hmm. And we sort of left it saying there's more to come. So there's a little secret we were holding back then. You want to sort of tell the listeners about what was actually happening?
Well,
hang on. Sorry, let's go back. Back. You were in the hospital.
Yes.
With a crook arm.
Yep. So I had 2 surgeries on my elbow.
Yeah.
And I had a race to go to. So when you have surgery on the elbow, particularly the surgery I had, you weren't meant to move the elbow at all for 6 weeks. I was on week 4 and there was a race coming up, a buggy race coming up that I had to get to. And so I discharged myself under medical advice and despite medical advice and, went and did a race.
So take me through that. If I said to you the elbow was out of 100%, what was it really?
Oh, it was 50.
50%?
Yeah, it was sore and I didn't have any strength in it, which is not good. So, it was my braking arm in this buggy. So we use levers, hand levers for brakes and I'm left-handed. So it's safe to say that I wasn't real good on the brakes, which probably when you look at the results, maybe that was probably had something to do with it.
It's so fast. Now, we're going to get to the race in a second, that's right, but I want to ask you, so you're going back to Finke again. You're going back to Finke to do this time in a buggy, not a bike.
Yep.
And we know, I'm going to say a tragedy, what happened that at Finke. What is it? Why are you still going back to this race?
There's a couple of things. I love going back to the territory.
Yeah.
I love that remoteness. I love getting back there and just getting away from everything. So I love getting back there, catching up with mates. Some of the mates I only see there, right? So we've met there. We continue to catch up there. So I love that part of it. But I'm also a racer. I love going fast. I love scaring myself. I'm back there. Finke is like the Bathurst of off-road. So everyone goes there. So the atmosphere is really, on point. There's street parties. It's getting bigger and better. So, I love the risk. I love the calculated risk.
I was going to ask you that. So do you think you're built that way? Like the people who do Finke, are they built differently? Because like I ride a motorbike, but I would not do Finke. I wouldn't have the guts to do Finke. I know I wouldn't have the experience to do Finke. Yeah. I probably wouldn't trust myself with the gear. But I've seen the Netflix series now, and it gave me such an appreciation of what you do. So you're built like that?
I think so. I've ridden most of my life, so both socially and competitively. And even when you ride socially, you still every now and then push the boundaries a bit. And other guys will be like, man, there's just no way I would do that. They're just scared of what you're doing. Yeah. I think you are built that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Some guys just aren't prepared to take that risk.
Okay.
And I don't want to sound blasé about it. I don't have a death wish or anything, but like I said, calculated risk. So I'll go as fast and as hard as I can to the point where I think it is really unsafe, but then I'll just back it off. So I try not to put myself in too much danger.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we talked last time about the support network you had there in and out of the hospital and the friends you made, and you just mentioned again too about that camaraderie, and it's such a community is everything, isn't it? Like community gives you purpose.
For sure.
And you've got purpose, obviously, with the race. If you go back a fair while, is there sort of a significant moment of a certain person or people who got you into the race?
Yeah, so going back like 06, 07, that's my 07 was my first one.
Yeah.
And I I'd only ever read about it in magazines, seen about it, seen a little bit on TV, and a mate of mine who's won the race and done a lot of riding up in the territory, I rang him and asked him about it, and he said, yeah, mate, for sure, you want to come and do it, just turn up. I'll tell you what to do and what not to do. And so sure enough, in 2007 went up there and did it. Yeah, for the first time, which was scary because I went by myself, packed the trailer, didn't even know which way I was going to go to Alice Springs, just knew that I'll just follow the map. And got to Alice Springs, spent a couple of nights in a caravan park there, didn't even know where the track was, didn't know anything about bike setup, didn't know anything about fitness, nutrition, just a total rookie. And Jason put me onto a local guy up there in Alice Springs, and I was lucky enough that he took me under his wing and actually offered his house and accommodation.
Wow, that's so good.
So I was set. Every year I had a place to stay, which is half the battle, right? You travel all that way and you're living out of a bag, and you do feel like you're away from home.
Yeah.
But I was lucky, so I could go there. I had a house, I had my own bedroom. I had a workshop there.
And you felt part of it, obviously. Then,
exactly from the get go, I was part of it. When you've got a local guy that would run you up and down the track, because you need that support. You need a car to follow you with fuel and something to eat and all that sort of stuff. So, I was lucky. I was set from the get go. I don't know what happened. I was so lucky.
Meant to have it.
Yeah.
And do you still catch up with him now?
No, I don't. Sadly, he took his own life.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so great guy, really great guy, and bit of a surprise. You don't see it coming. And that was my surprise. I mean, he was a wild boy.
Yeah.
And but you just never think that something like that would happen, and then all of a sudden you hear about it, and it does shake you a little bit.
Yeah.
Very, very talented guy, very, very funny guy, but just had a dark side that he just couldn't beat.
Yeah, and you can see it obviously still affects you now because you're close mate of his and how he did take on the wing. Was there, did you see him annually then? Were you seeing him every time for the race? I
spoke to him. I didn't speak to him that much. I'd speak to him obviously about the race every time the race came up. We were together in another mate's bridal party. Like we'd spent some time overseas together and had some fun times. But living different states, so we'd talk on the phone every now and then.
Yeah. But
mainly when the race came up, obviously I was picking his brain because he's a guy that's won it, right?
He's a guru.
He was the guy to talk to. Yeah.
And for you, and I know it's probably tough to talk about, but you and family members, and when you guys reconnected, was there any signs that you could see that he had a dark side? Is there anything like that? Because often it does go unnoticed. Yeah,
that's right. I think now after the fact, it's easier to join the dots.
Yeah.
And people they can hide it very well. So he had that wild side to him, and maybe it was him in his own way just pushing the boundaries because he was willing to push the boundaries and do things that were quite dangerous. He hurt himself quite a lot.
Yeah.
Both on the bike and both just being a knucklehead.
Yeah.
So I thought I was what you could call loose sometimes, but he was another level. So maybe that's how he dealt with it. I don't know. So the to answer your question is no, I didn't see it coming.
No.
So I was surprised when it happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you've also expressed, I think, in our first podcast that you've been through some dark times too. When you first had the injury and you thought about that kind of stuff. How have you progressed from that stage to where you are to this present day? Do you still have those dark days?
I never ever prior to me getting in a chair did I ever think about suicide.
Yeah.
Right. I may have gone through depression like anyone else. I don't think it was any. I didn't have a big bouts of depression or anything.
Yeah.
But every now and then I had a bit of a flat spot.
Yeah.
But after going in a chair, because I felt like I'd lost my identity, which we touched on before. I didn't know who I was, what I was. I didn't know what I had to offer. I couldn't use the skill sets that I had before, being a fitter.
Yeah.
So, my skills are with my hands, repairing stuff. So I've had to basically reinvent myself. And that's really, really hard, in your, when you're over 50 and you've got to start again. You've got to start again with, I won't say ball and chain, but you're in a chair, right? So I feel like you're behind the 8 ball from the get-go. Like, what options do you have to? These are the questions I was asking myself. Like, what can I do? What options do I have? And most of the time, I didn't have an answer. So that's when I started to think about suicide. Yeah. And as hard as it was, I still had the mindset to change my mind quickly.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is when I started to have those thoughts, I was always very conscious of going, no, you got to do something to change this. So I was very active in the way of even just getting up and going outside.
I remember last time you said you changed your environment.
Just change your environment, yeah. I was big on that. So, the worst thing for me, and I think for others, is just if you sit there and just let your brain take over, you will just spiral. I learnt also that my brain's not controlling me. I'm the one telling my brain what to do, as silly as that sounds. So, I just had to be very, it's a mindset and it's mental strength, but you've got to just change your environment, make a change, and hopefully that helps. Yeah.
And I love how you said that, like in the last episode we talked about social emotional well-being, and this is on a very minor scale to what we're talking about with you now. So I don't mean to be patronising right now, but I was going through some of the statements that Tony Robbins was saying. He was sort of saying that your body can do more than your brain can actually fathom, So if you can actually, and you said, often you said physically change your environment. So you'd move and then moving would actually then you tell your brain, I'm the captain of the ship. I'm telling you now, I'm dictating to you, these thoughts are gone. We're doing something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a personal question now. How many dark days have you had recently?
Well, how many, or when was it? How about if I answer that? Like, when was the last dark day I had?
Yeah, great.
So 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Woke up and from the get-go, things just weren't going right for me.
Yeah.
So what do I mean by that? Like, I found it really hard to get out of bed. My back was aching. My body was aching. I went to transfer from the bed to the chair and wasn't a good, clean transfer, so I sort of hit my bum on the way over. Yeah. And then I went out and the coffee machine needed beans. Like everything I went to do needed a second movement, right? And it's like, Jesus, I can't even get a coffee, right?
Yeah.
And then that just started the ball. I started to roll, and then it just sort of got momentum as the morning went on.
Yeah.
I went to go outside and I didn't open this. I remember not opening the screen door enough, so as I sort of buzzed outside, I clipped it with my knuckles. Just these little things can start setting you off, right? And
it was cumulative too, isn't it?
Yeah,
several things.
Right. Yeah. And then you're in that mindset, right? Now you're behind it, right? And then it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So that was a dark day. Yeah. Didn't think about suicide. Yeah. But did constantly just say to myself, shit, this sucks. Yeah. This wheelchair life sucks. And I wouldn't have been good company. I couldn't have held a conversation with anyone. I just wanted to be myself. Yeah. I didn't go out. Didn't leave the house. Didn't do much around the house in terms of cleaning and all the things that needed to be doing. I just sort of just let it slide. So yeah, you get those days, but I also know that they're short lived. Okay. You can climb out of it, right? Yeah. And that's, you just got somebody, you got patience too. I couldn't, on some dark days, I can change my environment, but it doesn't change my mood. Yeah. So it's, changing your environment sometimes works for me, but it's not the answer. So you try and do something else. I try and use distraction, and I'll jump on YouTube or put a movie on or do something where my mind can go somewhere else. Yeah. And something that works. Or I'll go in the shed, muck around with something, muck around with a bike, do something that I've got to start thinking about what I'm doing and focusing on. so that my brain just doesn't sit there and spiral. So, yeah.
Yeah, articulate it so well, mate, and I know how you can do that. Like your inner strength is so good. I just love how you just said before, and if you realise you said, but what else can I contribute? Like you're always thinking of other people. Like last time we had a bit of a joke about, the people you helped out in the hospital and the awards day, and you always to make people have a better time.
Yeah.
Oh God, mate. We'll have to try and get this on YouTube and show some of those things you might have written to the staff.
Well, it's just we were talking, off air, so to speak, and it was interesting. I only just recently came across a picture that showed all the certificates that I was handing out to the staff, and it made me laugh because some of the certificates were, there was one in particular for just this young fella. He crashed his car a couple of times, getting to and from work. So he'd come in. He was a what do you call them, like the wardsman, orderlies.
Yeah. So
he'd come in, and he always, every time he went past my room, he'd swing in for a chat, right? Because I was always good for chat about bikes or whatever. And so he must have crashed it 3 or 4 times, right? Just hopeless. So on the awards night, he got a certificate for making it into work that day without crashing his car. So he was pumped, right? So, he
probably got framed.
There's certificates for everything, right? So it was good. It was a funny night.
That's good. And mate, look, we jump a bit around the show because I want to go and talk about, last time we talked about the race of Finke, and you're talking about how maybe you have to be built with a different mindset or skill set or risk adverse, that kind of stuff, or adrenaline junkie, whatever it might be. And you're talking about how, doctors know, Jamie, you're not going out, you've got 2 more weeks to go. Let's go back because, look, we could stop the podcast right now and be a massive advocate for people who are struggling with mental health. And I hope people listening here can actually understand that they can reach out to both of us about this. And
for sure.
I'm sure you'd be a great mentor for them if you're open to do that for some people who might be in a dark place, mate. So I appreciate that and being open and vulnerable with that. Let's take you back. Okay. Doctor says, no, you're not discharging. Or you didn't do one of those things like on the movies and you just packed your kit and jumped out the window or we got just out the window or something. Did you just, did they know you're going?
Yeah, because you got to basically check out, right?
Okay.
So I just said to them, look, well, they didn't know I had a race to go to. I did actually try and fudge it and say, listen, I've just got a family emergency that I've go to, so I need a couple of days off. And they said, well, listen, if you can take a couple of days off and survive in the outside world, basically with your arm, then there's no need for you to come back. And I was like, okay, so I've got a discharge. And they said, yep. And they said, but, if you discharge, it'd be against medical advice. So discharge it was. Way we went. Yeah, just said, listen, let's do the paperwork. I've got to go.
Yeah. And you had family/friends in Alice Springs to go and catch up with. So
so they didn't know I was going straight from the hospital to the home to work on a buggy. So
let's go. What happened then? So you discharged yourself from hospital?
So so just for the listeners, so for me to race Finke this year, a prerequisite is you've got to do 2 races prior. Right, 2 sanctioned events by the governing body. And once you do those 2 races, they'll give you an endorsement to say, yep, you're competent enough to go and race Finke. So it's Finke's, it's their new rules. It's the Finke's committees, it's Alice Springs, it's the Finke committee, sorry. It's their way of, how can I say, safety net.
Okay, yeah.
Because people could just turn up to Finke and race Finke.
Oh, so it's like a competency thing. You're competent.
So,
okay.
Correct. So it's making sure that there's a certain standard turning up. Being such a high speed race as it, now, you need a certain level of skill.
Yeah.
I had to do the 2 races. Right? But this is, I'd given my car to someone to work on, and that was at Christmas. So I hadn't seen this car for 3 months.
Right.
The race is on Saturday, Sunday. The car, I drive down from Brisbane. The car goes from Sydney up to a place called Nabiac or around Newcastle.
Yeah.
Foster around that area. So I haven't had a chance to practice. Of
course not.
I don't even know what's turning up, right? I don't even have a navigator. Right? So all I've done is pack a bag. I'm driving down from Brisbane knowing that hopefully this fella that's bringing my car up, dropping it to somewhere, and I don't know what state it's in because I've got hand controls that aren't working properly apparently according to him. Got no idea. Don't even know what the race is like. Don't know how the race format is. Got no idea. Just turned up, had a bag packed. So I turn up, I walk around the pits. I roll around the pits And I ask if there's anyone willing to be a navigator.
And so you have to have a navigator?
You got to have a navigator.
So you went there without a navigator?
No navigator.
So what was your plan? You're just going to hook someone in?
Just wing it. It was literally pure just wing it. I'm sure someone will jump in. I mean, what's the odds, right? Who wants to jump in with a paraplegic who hasn't raced, hasn't driven?
1.5 arms.
Doesn't even, 1.5 arms. He's got a busted elbow.
Busted wing.
Hasn't even got a license yet. So that was also part of it. So the prolong or the qualifying for the race, they used also as they call it an OLT, which is an observation license test. Okay. Basically, when you apply for an off-road racing license, you can do all the paperwork, but someone's got to watch you race just to make sure that you're competent, even just to get your license.
Okay.
So I've jumped in the buggy with Les, my navigator, who I just met, right? And I think he's 70.
Right, yeah.
He's 70. He's jumped in. He's cool. I'm trying to hide the fact that I got no idea about what I'm doing. This buggy's coughing and farting and spluttering, and I don't even know what the hand controls are doing. And it's just he's
probably crapped himself checking his seatbelt 3 times.
He was just. Well, it was funny because a mate of mine, the guy that gave me the buggy, right? His name is Phil Lovett. I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning it. He started all this, right? But at the race day, he's the one that asked around also, right? Anyone want to be navigator? And old Les put his hand up when he heard Phil was asking for a navigator because Les thought he was going to jump in with Phil. Now, Phil's a front runner. He would probably win. He would usually win these things outright.
Okay.
So it's exciting to jump in with one of the fastest drivers in the world, in the country. And then when old Les says, "Yeah, mate, I'll be your navigator," Phil said, "Yeah, well, go and see that guy in the wheelchair. He's looking for a navigator." So Les's face dropped like, "Oh, what? No, you want?" So anyway,
and you're like, "She'll be right, mate.
Just jump on in.
I got this covered.
I got it." So
it was meant to be.
So it was awesome weekend. It just was one of those things, right? Everything, nothing pre-planned, no experience, no prep.
So no 2 races you're supposed to do. How'd you get past that?
Well, this is just because this was just local events, right? This was just a New South Wales. It was a round of the New South Wales Off-Road Championship.
Right.
Round 1. And, mate, to my surprise, we got 3rd in class and 5th outright. So
holy hell.
So
in a buggy you've never been in? In a busted wing?
Busted wing with a navigator that was just as dodgy as I was, right? I'm sure he couldn't see the arrows. So, and then it was funny because you got intercom, right, between your helmets, and Les was chatting to me in the intercom, and I was really trying to concentrate. I'm trying to concentrate on what my hands are doing, and I just had a lot going on. And he just said, "Listen, if I'm talking too much, you just let me know." I said, "All right, I'm letting you know. I just need my own time here. Thanks, Les." But he was awesome. He was a good guy, yeah.
And what about you getting into the buggy compared to the bike? Were you straight in the zone? With the speed? And
yep, must have been. I dead set honestly was turning up just to rotate, just to circulate, so that I could get that endorsement for Finke.
Yeah,
but being a racer and put your helmet on in about 3 or 4 corners, I was like, "Nah, we're not just going to cruise. Yeah. Let's get on the gas and see what happens." And I think the bike skills really played off in the car.
Yeah.
I think we see lines and terrain differently.
Yeah,
we can pick a lot of terrain instead of just focusing on one thing in front of us.
Yeah,
I can scope a hole straight and go, right, this is what I can do. And I think the bike skills really played off for the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, probably a bit of a naive, stupid question, but the comparison with bike and buggy, like still 10,000 times better on a bike compared to buggy, or you just as much adrenaline in a buggy?
Yeah, I think the way the buggies are these days and what they can cope with in terms of rough terrain and how fast they can go, the buzz is still there.
That's cool.
Yeah, compared to a bike. Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, the buggies are amazing, what they can do. Yeah.
Well, how fast are they going? How fast are that buggy going?
This buggy in particular probably do, I don't know, 140, 150
Jeez.
maybe. And just across some gnarly terrain. So, yeah, awesome fun.
So how long was the race?
So they'd come in different formats. So this one was what they call a short course, which means you go out in groups, pretty much 30 seconds apart in single file.
Yeah.
But you'll have, fast group, slow group, whatever. And you'll do, this one was a 9K loop, but you'll do it 3 times. So you're out there for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then you'll come in and another group will go out, and then you just keep rotating that through the day.
Okay.
So short course, whereas the one coming up in Kempsey, it's called the Kempsey 300, so it's 300 Ks.
Wow.
So it'll be broken up into 2 days. So I'm not sure of the format, but I'm guessing obviously it's probably 150 a day.
And that's your next one?
That's the next one coming up, yeah.
Have you got a navigator ready to go, or you just?
I have, and same deal, right? Just put the feelers out on social media.
Yeah.
And this fella from Kempsey said, "Yeah, mate, I'll be your navigator." So we chatted for a while and said, "Oh, listen, don't want to shock you, but I'm a paraplegic, so if you see me rolling up to the driver's seat, get ready for a wild ride."
Yeah, it's good, though, isn't it?
So
when's that one? When's that one?
End of this month, so 27th, 28th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it?
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, buggies. I've had time to, muck around with the buggy a bit more and do some stuff to it and get it more suited to me now. So I think there's a bit of speed left in me now that it's all set up a bit differently for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm keen to.
Last time not prepared, 5th and 3rd,
yeah, and
no pressure. Geez.
When you say like 3rd in class, obviously that's against like cars.
Yeah.
But outright is against any car, so it could be a big V8, could be trucks, could be all sorts of things, And we're in this little Can-Am side by side with
it's a Maestro behind it. See, tell me about the car and getting it sorted and getting ready for Kempsey. Tell me about how you physically get prepared and mentally get prepared for a race now with the buggies. What's that look like leading up to the race?
Well, physically I can't do that much. I do try and work on my hands a bit because the way I accelerate is through my hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
So a bit like a motorbike where you're reaching for levers.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to do the same thing now but on the steering wheel. So I sort of got to reach behind the steering wheel for another ring that's there that pulls the accelerator for me.
Yeah.
So, I've got to be fairly flexible and with my hands. But physically, no, not that much. You're strapped in. But it's more car prep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you have to have? Because when we're doing a lot of PE teaching stuff at the start of my career, we talked about how some of the fittest athletes out there were actually motor races, like the ones who were on in the Grand Prix and stuff. Yeah. Because their heart rate's around 200 beats a minute. And
the G-forces, right?
That's right.
Their G-forces and what they put up with is just incredible.
So for you, in a race of, say, 300 or 150 Ks a day, is there anything in particular you have to worry about with food-wise to have your brain focus more than anything, or is it just more any hydration? Is it anything specific you have?
I think my biggest concern, and I didn't have to do it in this short course because I knew it was only a 20-minute race and then I'll be back in the pits.
Yeah.
So once you're back in the pits, I've got the security of being able to do what I need to do for my body.
Yeah.
So, as a paraplegic, if I get the urge to go to the toilet, I've pretty much got to go then and there, and go and sort it out. So I don't have much warning.
Yeah.
And that's a concern.
Yeah.
Particularly for the long races. So if I'm strapped in, I've got a race suit on that's fireproof, so it's quite a thick, heavy overall type suit.
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern. And then even to this day, and right now, I still don't have an answer on what I'm going to do. So, we go to this big long race, particularly Finke, which I know I'm going to be in the car for at least 2 to 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
That's racing. So you can imagine half an hour before it, so there's 3 hours and probably another half. And so I'm in the car for a long time.
Yeah.
Physically, I don't know how I'm going to put up with it because it's quite a lot of shaking. I'm more concerned about my legs and what they're going to do bouncing around. So because I've got to work out how to secure them.
Yeah,
somehow, but you can't tie them off to the car, obviously, in case you got to climb out
in
a hurry.
Yeah.
So I need to work out some sort of foam box or something that I can put them in, and look after them that way. And it became apparent the other day. So over Easter, I had a chance to go to a mate's property, talking about concern for my legs, and we're mucking around with the buggy, and I put it on its lid, right, which never done before.
Yeah, right.
And it was lucky that everyone was there so that they could turn me over pretty quick, but the first thing I did was make conscious note of what was going on with my body and my legs being upside down, because what if I've got to climb out in this situation?
Yeah.
And it was going to be very difficult. I knew if I'd unbuckled myself, I was going to hurt myself.
Yeah.
I more importantly, I reckon I was going to break a leg.
Yeah, right.
Because of the way the way they'd fallen and the way they were jammed up under the dash.
Yeah.
It was just the angle. So even if I moved them, there was no good position for me to put my legs in.
Yeah.
And that worried me. So we're just going to have to deal with that when it happens, if it happens
Touch
again.
wood.
Yeah.
Amazing. It sounds like you're pretty switched on, like even to think about those things, under that distress, that stressful situation.
Yeah.
Now it's amazing. I don't know how to explain it, or if you can explain it. But what is it with Finke? Like, I know you've talked about your passion, love, and the drive and the friendship, but the community must be amazing there. The community for you to want to go back there so strongly and have all these things. Like, to all those listeners out there who are Finke lovers or have been racing in Finke, what is it? Can you nail it down? Is it the community? What is it? What is it to you? What is it to you?
I just love getting there and being up in the territory since, considering I grew up there.
Yeah.
So going back to familiar ground.
Yeah.
But getting that dose of remoteness that I need. It's a reset for me.
Yeah.
Just getting away from phones, emails, all that sort of stuff, sirens.
Yeah.
And spending some time in real remote Central Australia. We don't always stay in Alice Springs, right? So we will camp out 100, 150 Ks out of Alice along the track.
Yeah. You've
got no power, you've got no water, so you've got to be self-sufficient for, at times, when we're on the bike, there was times where I'd be 2 weeks out there.
Yeah.
We'd go into town every now and then for some food and some more petrol for the bikes.
Yeah.
But, after you spend 2 weeks out there showering and doing everything properly, you set up a little community and other people will come and then they will add to the community. So next thing you've got 8 or so campers that are in a circle, just all enjoying each other's company, all got familiar interests,
Yeah.
love chatting about what happened that day, about bikes and this and that. So I do love that part. I mean, apart from the race itself, which I love,
Yeah.
it's a chance to just go as fast as you can.
Yeah.
There's not many races around where you can do that.
Yeah.
In terms of high speed. Sure, you can go fast on a motocross track and as fast as you can.
Yeah.
But when you get out there and you've got a long straight and you start clicking up through the gears and you're in top gear and you're just winding it on.
Yeah.
And I'll be real, sometimes when you are going that fast, you can't focus on the exact terrain. It does become a bit of a blur.
Oh, yeah.
And you try and clear your eyes and focus, but you won't see everything.
No.
Yeah. So.
You mentioned something before about the people out there and, other people join the camp and you build a community and, and part of this Judo Unspoken is part of the business Innate Code, which stands for the real AI, which is not artificial intelligence, it's authentic interactions.
Yep.
Do you find country people are a bit different?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that is part of the attraction, right? So, I've got some really, really good mates. Of course, we've got same things in common, but they're just genuine people. That you just there's no front.
Yeah.
There's no fake chat gibberish. They'll call you out. If things are a bit dicky. They'll be honest with you. They'll be real. They'll give way more than they receive.
Yeah.
They'll offer and help and do everything at a whim.
Yeah.
So all that's to me is attractive. It keeps me coming back.
Yeah.
Keeps me looking forward to catching up with those same guys.
Yeah.
And I genuinely love that part of it.
Yeah.
It is good because in today's society and it's a bit plastic, right?
Yeah.
And it's very hard these days to filter through all that and learn and find people that are just real with you, just honest with you, and just enjoy your time and engage with you, genuinely engage, not just say, hey, how you going, and then keep moving, and you haven't even had a chance to answer the question.
Yeah.
Are you asking me because you really want to know?
That's right.
Or are you just asking because that's the normal thing to do?
Yeah.
Whereas...
And you're waiting for me to ask me.
Yeah.
You ask, How you going? You ask me now.
Yeah. That's
Don't
right.
talk about me.
Yeah. So it's all that. It's all those sorts of little things. I genuinely love that part of it.
That perfect connection. I love it. How many more races has Jamie got left?
Mate, there's a shitload.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not stopping.
What's the goal?
Well, the goal or the wish list would be to be a fully sponsored off-road racing car driver.
Okay. How do people contact you for that? What if there's someone out here listening going, I love this guy and I want to get right behind him because what he reflects is what my business reflects and what I believe in community and connection.
Yep.
How do they get hold of you?
Easy. Give me a call.
Give you a call?
Yeah.
Can they get on your Facebook or
Facebook?
Get on mine and I can connect you up if they go to Innate Code and we'll get on our Facebooks and
I'd say that'd probably be the best bet. Yeah, through Innate Code, through you, or look me up on Facebook. Jamie Harrison.
Yeah.
Send me a message for sure. Of course, I'd appreciate any help, but it's not just about me racing as well, right? It's about me trying to raise awareness for disability in motorsport.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the first paraplegic to race Finke in a car. Someone's done it on a bike, but I'm going to be the first in a car. I'm pretty sure I'm the first going back that broke his back in the same race.
Yeah.
So it's about that. It's about raising awareness as well. So any help would definitely be appreciated. It's a tough, hard sport on the wallet, and I'm just trying to make it happen.
And you're a fine role model, mate, for the sport and the Finke community, no doubt. So articulate things so well, but also like an ambassador for that part of the country and also for what that stands for in the community. So I can't see why that would not even happen.
Thank you, mate.
And I think we should try and connect with Finke and do some mobile podcasts down there too, and
I think
maybe
it'd be great.
Talk to some real life people down there and the organisers and talk about maybe the people who've done the race in both buggy and bike form.
Oh, there'd be so many stories. It is such an interesting time, particularly the presentation night, right? Because that's after the last day. So you race on the Monday, it's all finished then, but then Monday night is presentation night. And when you go to presentation night, all you can hear is stories.
Oh, nice.
And people are saying things like, oh, what about, at that 80K mark and there's that big bend and I just overshot and I went through the bush at 100 miles an hour, missed all the trees and went through a campsite, ran over a campfire. There's just so many good stories. So a podcast, you'll get some great material.
I think we should do it together.
And there's some characters too, right? Like there's some real larrikins. Yeah.
It sounds like fun. Actually.
Buckle up.
All right, I've got some little fun questions to ask you here before we finish off. Mm-hmm. Is there anything, though, I haven't asked you that you'd like me to ask you before we get into this stuff?
Nope.
You ready for this time? Because last time there was some really weird ones. So.
Okay. Are these weird?
No, I can do pretty tame this time.
Let's see.
We'll see, yeah. Are you a daredevil in all sports?
No.
No? Just mainly racing?
I wouldn't be a daredevil with darts or archery. Consequences are a bit different.
All right. What about if you're a teacher like me, what subject would you teach and why?
Science. Because you could blow shit up. I think. I'll be no good at maths.
Don't employ this guy. Ed Queensland, Catholic schools. Jamie Harrison,
looking for a job. Looking for a
no
job.
card, no blue card. We talked about if you were trapped on an island, who you'd like to go with you, but if you were trapped on an island, which one would it be?
Which island?
Yeah. You can't say Australia either, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, lock me up on Tasmania.
Would you?
I've only been there a couple of times and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. They're a few decades behind, right? So, and I mean that with respect. Yeah. I would love to go there.
Okay. Well, yeah. What about if you could live anywhere in the world right now, where would it be and why?
Good question.
Anywhere. It doesn't have to be Australia.
Anywhere. You got me. I reckon Canada somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. They're sort of pretty much like us, aren't they? Just outdoorsy, active, and there's some beautiful country over there.
I was going to say beautiful women then.
Yep. There's all that too. Okay. We've got a lot of beautiful women here too.
Okay. was going to say, check in your Facebook there too for some more. We'll move on.
Oh, listen, I'm looking for sponsorship and a wife.
Perfect. That's it. We're going to get this done by Fink. That's it. What's been the thing you miss the most from your teenage years?
The ability to just do anything and not feel sore.
Yeah.
You know, at 54, my body's starting to feel it.
Yeah.
Might sound silly, but I reckon I miss that, just that ability to just crash and do stuff and then just get up next day and not even feel it.
Yeah.
Just bounce straight up.
Well, see, you're in a lot worse problem than I am because we're similar ages, but you still have that wrist thing going for you, mate. So I at least go, no, I'm scared. There's no way I'm doing that. You're just like, let's see how we go and can I do it faster? So we'll see.
Yeah.
Here's a really intelligent question, I think.
Mm-hmm.
If you could be a movie star, who would it be and what type of movie?
Oh, I'd have to be The Rock.
Mm.
He's just killing it in life, isn't he?
He is.
So
an action movie?
Action movie. I mean, he's not a bad looking fella either.
Mm.
So, The Rock.
Okay. It actually wasn't that intelligent question, was it? I was just trying to pump it up a bit. What about this one? Have you ever had any other close misses or adverse adventures, like, for example, going to Finke or back from Finke? Like, it's a long way out to Finke from here. Like, have you had any near misses or something on that track on the way there?
So, good question. We were coming back. I can't remember the year, but I think it was this 08, 09. And I was travelling back with the old man, and so I'll paint the picture. We're in a Ford Falcon wagon and towing an enclosed trailer. And in that trailer, we've got everything. So I've got the bike, I've got barbecues, I've got swags, there's eskies, fridges, there's, quick shades. There's just so much gear. And we were coming, so we were driving, we were not over the top way. So you'd go from Alice Springs up to a place called Three Ways and across the Barkly, through Mount Isa and then down through sort of middle of Queensland. And I'd fallen asleep, so I was late. I was actually early hours of the morning, I think, from memory. It was like, must have been 1 or 2 in the morning. And I was asleep, so I was in the passenger side and I did the seat, retracted all the way back. I was pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
And Dad was driving and I think I just heard a noise that just made me, that just wasn't right, because the cars are humming along. There's no noise. Dad's just cruising along. I think he might have said something like shit or something. Anyway, I woke up and I looked up, and as I looked up, all I could see was grass coming over the bonnet.
Holy hell.
And we're about to go, we're off the road, obviously, and we're just about to go into a creek bed or a culvert. Hell. And we've hit this culvert. I've ended up, because the seat was laid down, so there's a lesson for people, even though I had my belt on. Yeah. I slid under the belt and ended up in the footwell.
Holy hell.
And jarred my back and did some other things, and I think I broke a couple of ribs. So it buckled the trailer, buckled the car, and I ended up spending some time in Cloncurry Hospital.
A mighty curry.
Yeah. And my injury was too big for them, so I'm pretty sure they sent me to Mount Isa after that.
Yeah.
But that was hectic. The old man did his best to organise everything while I was in hospital to get us back, because we didn't have a car, right?
Did he get through okay? Like, was he?
Yeah, he was good.
He must have felt bad.
Oh, look, it's a hard gig, right? All that, it's 3,000 k's door to door. So
that's crazy.
And back then I was a bit impatient, so I was probably pushing him to let's just get it done, right? So we could nearly do it in 2 days, 1,500 k's a day. But anyway, so that was interesting. We laugh about it now, but at the time it was hectic.
Oh, yeah.
Finke will always do something, right? Finke will always create a story. There will always be. You never. I don't think I've ever, in all the years racing it, I don't think I've ever just packed up, gone and raced Finke, not had an incident, come back and just gone, oh sweet, everything's great. No, there's always something.
There's always
something. I remember one time going across, and again I had an enclosed trailer, and just pumping along, and I remember looking in the mirror, and one side I could see the trailer, there was a bit of smoke coming from the wheel, so I thought, okay, better pull up and have a look. And the whole spring had broken on the trailer.
Holy.
I'm in the middle of nowhere, right? There's nothing. And I couldn't drive because this trailer was actually sitting on the tyre. That's what had happened. So I remember I had a block of wood that I could use to chock the trailer up off the tyre. And then I'd grab my pliers and walk through the bush and found a fence, cut some fencing wire off, jimmied it all up, and it got me from nearly pretty much Mount Isa to Alice Springs to the point where I could buy another spring and fix it up. But mate, there's always something.
Well, at least you're like, you know, we talk about masculinity and real men and stuff. At least you could do that kind of stuff. I'd be locking the doors and worry about Wolf Creek or something. Missing out.
I think being a fitter, right, I could fix stuff. But there was another time. I keep talking. So I went through the Plenty Highway.
Yeah,
went that way. I was by myself. This time I was in a Land Cruiser Ute and just cruising along. Got a bit dark. Thought, you know what, I'm going to pull over, set up camp. This is all good. It's only until I actually stopped and sat down on the swag next to the fire that I realised how isolated I was. So then my mind went, you talk about Wolf Creek. I reckon I could hear someone calling my name in the wind, like Jamie.
Oh, stop.
So I just couldn't sleep.
Tonight.
I couldn't sleep. The fire was stoked and I was lying there. But up until then I was fine. Like, yeah, pulled up, set up on a little camp. Everything was great. As soon as I sat down and just stopped, I was like, shit.
It's so quiet.
It's just
it's deafening.
It's deafening. You know, because I'd pretty much just come from Brisbane, right? So I didn't have any time to sort of detune.
Oh,
so yeah, it was actually spooky. It was spooky. So, but yeah, like I said, mate, Finke will always going there, coming back. Finke will always have a story.
Well, no doubt you'll have a story when you go there again this year.
I will. It'll be a good story this time.
Yeah,
and yeah, really, really looking forward to it. Getting a lot of help too from the community, which is great, and some guys are coming aboard in terms of sponsorship, so which is definitely helping.
Yeah,
and yeah, we'll make it happen. It'll be good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're hoping our family can come down and support you there too, mate. And even with the podcast, but even just to be by your side, mate, because you're a legend. I'm so grateful you come on the podcast and open up with your feelings and be vulnerable and just a champion the way you articulate things. And there's going to be people out there you're going to influence in a positive way. And whether you're reaching out with mental health or you're reaching out as a sponsor, make sure you look up Jamie Harrison, please, on his Facebook or myself, or mine's gw@garywoodford.com, R. And if you're really interested in connecting with Jamie, please send me an email. I'd love to pass it on to him and give him the support he needs. Yeah, mate, just so grateful. Thanks for coming on the show.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Mate. Thank you.
All right.